looking for something. A new way, a new understanding, a connection, some comfort. You've got questions, and Light on Living puts the spotlight on all the answers so you can shine. Lift and lighten the load of life's challenges and learn simple and easy ways to live a healthy, happy life. You'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you. You're invited to hear new, see different, and feel more as Lisa shines the light on living.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, hello. Welcome to Light on Living. I'm your host, Lisa Berry. And today, you guys are in for a treat. A treat, first of all, because it's your own treat, and we're going to highlight some of those gifts that you already have that you didn't know, and you're like, oh my gosh, look at this. It's Christmas. I have my own gifts. And we're also, I feel so gifted today to have a very, very dear friend, colleague, spiritual soul sister. I mean, this list is going to go on. Pamela Larocque. And I want, just before I bring her on, you know what? She said something and my little ears perked up, which means that my heart perked up, and I knew I had to share it with you. Today we are talking about balance, okay? It is balance, but there's something more about balance that I want you guys to kind of like go, ooh, I want balance, because here's what she said, what's what Pamela said. The payout of balance is that we can access our resources within. Let that resonate, you guys. Do you know what? So why? You say, well, why do I got to be balanced? You know what? I just got to live this way and not that way. And you know what? When we have balance, the payout is, I love that we can access our resources within. And I feel like what she just kind of gave to me in that like gift of a sentence, quote, I don't know, a belief, is that, wow, I have all these resources within. You guys have all these resources right inside of you. But if you're not on balance, you might not be able to access them. So today's show, we are going to be talking all about exactly that, how to have balance and then access our resources. So first of all, let me welcome an incredible author, a life purpose mentor, and my good friend, Pamela Larocque. Welcome.
Oh, hi, Lisa. I'm so excited to be here. This is a treat for me, too. I love doing anything with you, so this is going to be a fun hour, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. One person, I mentioned this on the live that I did at like an hour earlier on OMTimes Magazine's page, is when I'm out of balance, it's not just sometimes I can't tell with myself, like I don't know what to do. So I would look for a mentor, like to go, well, how are they getting balance? How are they recognizing they're out of balance? What do I do? And you are one of those people for me. And so I just knew that I wanted to share you with the listeners and have you share some of your like experiences and guidance on balance.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I love that you look towards me. I also look towards you because you're again a light in this world, and it's just a gift to know you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Balance for me has been quite something I've been seeking since, forever. I'm a Libra, and Libras, that's kind of their thing, is to be balanced. And then, of course, with my healing journey, trying to navigate through my grief, my grief was so intense, but I would always visualize seeing myself joyful and intentionally imagining that from even weeks after Riken's death. And initially it was all about doing it for my toddler, for my husband, and then eventually now it's very much about doing it for myself first. So that's come into balance as well, that alignment of doing for yourself versus doing for everyone else. And sometimes as moms and women, I think that, again, we hear the thoughts that we put ourselves on the back burner and we make lots of excuses, or guilt gets in, and sometimes takes something of a crisis perhaps, or feeling completely out of balance, whatever that looks like for different people, to kind of hit the floor and go, okay, like what's going on here? Why aren't I putting myself first, and how do I put myself into balance? And so, ironically, I'm working on my third book in the series called Finding Me Again, which is, again, my now journey towards, like, really who am I? Yes, I'm a mother, I'm a grieving mother, and I'm a wife, and I'm all these other things, but really the essence is, who am I inside?
I love it. You know, just to share with everybody, Pamela is actually a mother, a current mother, who also suffered, your extreme grief is coming from the loss of your infant, the loss of your baby, and trying to find that balance that you are grieving, but you're still celebrating life in your other children and as a wife and in life, and I think that's where you probably might have had that really, I would find, oh my gosh, that's probably the most difficult thing I could imagine having to do is, how are you in a position now balancing to honor your grief, or are you trying to move through it so you no longer have grief, or will you always have grief whilst balancing it with life and celebration and living?
Lisa, last I guess spring, I published the second book, Chasing Rainbows. The first book is Riken's Journey, and then I did the second book, Chasing Rainbows, which is our journey towards having another child, and the walk through my grief towards that. And I felt free after that. To be honest, it was almost 14 years, and I really felt 95% of my grief, healed. But I've been working on that for almost 14 years. And then I started working on finding me again, and then my guides and angels, it just kept coming to me, intentional healing for intentional living, bridging self to soul. This is what you're doing. This is what you're going to be helping people with. And, I got a deck of cards sorted out and made up, and I've been working with that. Again, it's about intention. What is my intention? My intention is to heal so I can intentionally live my best life for whatever moment in time that is for a person. So, for instance, for me, and at that time, last summer, I was feeling very free. That second book was very empowering to release to the world. I had kind of faced many demons and many fears and was in a place of just real loving life and wanting to be involved, full 150% full on into life. And summer came, and it was beautiful, and September, we get back into somewhat of a routine, and September 13th, my husband's work said to him, you guys are going to British Columbia. And then within 3 months, we had purchased the house, sold our house, and moved. And it just kept coming. We have to go. We can't stay because we can't finish the year here. We have to all be together. That was just this push. And, of course, with COVID now, very happy because we would have been apart. We wouldn't have seen each other.
Yes.
Kids and I and Brett would have been in different provinces. And so that's that intuition. We're always being guided. Sometimes we're listening, and then sometimes we're not because we're so overwhelmed. And I feel then we're out of balance. I know my anxiety now is a gift. I no longer take medication because I do a whole bunch of other wonderful things. But my anxiety triggers, you're out of balance. What do you need to do? So I'm kind of going a long way around this question you've asked me.
Oh, it's great.
But ironically, our children are in sports, and they each wanted to end their soccer and hockey tournaments. And the day we flew away from Alberta was Riken's anniversary death date.
Oh, wow.
And it was that's the most painful day of every year. It's just painful. And that day, watching our children, because they weren't wanting to move, they were losing, their home, their beloved home. I mean, they don't think there's any place in the world greater than Okotoks. This is where we have recently moved from. And to watch them cry and suffer and grieve this loss was so heavy on my heart. And I kept it together all day till we were waiting to board the airplane that evening. And then I just broke down crying. And I went inside myself and asked, why today of all days? And, Riken talks to me very clearly every now and then when I really need an answer. And he said, Mom, you need to know that there's worse things in life than moving. Like my death was very hard for you. You've overcome that. You will overcome this. the kids will overcome this, but it had to be today so you would realize, okay, I'm not going to carry this guilt. We have survived worse than this. And, you know, that was very helpful to not kind of succumb to that guilt, pain that you feel when you see your children hurting and you're the cause of it.
Yes,
because we are the reason they're moving, right? We're moving them.
Right. Yes, and also to an opportunity, which they can't see right now, or maybe you guys couldn't.
Right.
But I love that you mentioned, you know, there's a lot to unwrap in there alone, and I love that you're sharing this with people. It's like first thing first was the anxiety. Sometimes, you know, when we are overwhelmed and we're out of balance, that's our physical feeling. It's our little like a sign flashing and letting us know, like, okay, you got to pay attention here. But then something you just brought up, a lot of us can feel out of balance when we feel that we can't control it, we can't do anything about it. So here you are having to witness pain that you feel you've caused for your children, but you can't be the ones do you feel like you can be the one to help them, the children, gain balance, or do they have to do it themselves, but you're just leading the way? What role do we play in other people's balance when we are interacting with those activities with them?
Well, the social worker in me says, as a parent, it is your job to try and be as healthy as you can be, to be as healthy as a parent to them, because your job is to parent them. Yeah. Your job is to be a support. Your job is to hold them accountable. You know, it's a case of, you know, when we got here, I had to be very mindful of allowing them to grieve and have their emotions, but not be stuck in it all day, every day, laying in bed, crying, moaning, you know, all these things, because that's another can of worms. I don't want them to have depression and anxiety issues because of this, right? It's always a balance. Like this is such a good topic, because for me anyways, but you know, and it's a case of, okay, how do we create new friendships? And we talked a lot about what do you want in a friend? Who did we leave behind that will still be your friends, but what were the qualities in those friends that you want now to find in this new life? And then you bring the old and you create new. So then there's the balance, right? You know, still connecting with your friends through FaceTime and letter writing and emails and texting, and then going out into the world and trying to put your best foot forward when you're they were in very much emotional pain.
Mm-hmm. And there's a lot going on, a lot of new. I think too, when we can get, so I love that you shared that you know 95% of the way through grief is really through, like you're feeling really, like you said, free. And I'm going to bring this together with adjusting and adjustment. So balance. It's not like you get there and you're there forever. There's no promise that when you get somewhere 95% or 100% that you're there forever. Something like in your situation, a move, an uprooting, you know, really threw you off balance, your whole family. And it's with the intention, okay, so what do I want? I want to feel grounded again. I want to feel free again. I want to feel not sad and not like I've lost something. And so you were very intentional about talking with your children and saying, all right, so what have we not lost, but what are the gifts that we liked from that point which we were balanced? And moving forward, how can we attract other things that bring us that same feeling? Does that feel like how you did that?
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, they were very much involved in the house hunting, and they got to write lists of what they wanted in the house and what kind of a community and things they would do, their interests, and, you know, bringing them, because, you know, really a house and a community, it's really your family as long as you move your family. But it's, again, being a physical human being, understanding that it does take time to, like you said, we were uprooted, and now to root. We have to root and plant ourselves here to the best of our ability. And so then my grief, of course, Riken's death date, and then all that triggers with Christmas and everything, and wanting our Earth children to have a really great Christmas, even though they were so sad, because we're not in our old house, we're in this new house, and how do we create some new memories here? And even allowing the kids they got to put things away in the house, because it's a similar setup as the house we moved from. Our son, he really wanted it was a vase with some cool kind of branches out of it. He had to have it on the one part of the step. And I wouldn't put it there, but I know that brought him comfort.
Oh.
He said and so I just let it go. Like, does it matter? It makes him happy. That's part of his grief. It makes him feel probably a memory. It makes him feeling comforted walking up the stairs and seeing it. It makes him feel like home, even though it's a new home. So there's just lots of things to let go of for me and just allow them to kind of make it their new home. But also, I'm trying to understand my own grief again and not take on the kids' grief, because I was excited to move here and be where it's warm and there's nature and there's hiking and all these wonderful things. But then, seeing our kids and so much sadness, it was really hard. So it brought back my own grief.
Yeah, you know what I'm really hearing, and I know we've got just a minute before we go to commercial, but comfort. I love that you brought up that word, and I feel like it's almost like we want to, when we're feeling out of balance, we're no longer comfortable, and so we are seeking comfort. That might be the most softest. I love how that's come up. The softest way to approach this, a little bit more gentle at first, going, all right, I'm out of balance. I didn't fail. Somebody didn't throw me to the other edge of the world. I'm not comfortable, and I want to reach for a place that's more comfortable. And I'd like to just share this, invite everybody back to after the commercial break, is where I would love to go into if core values, because if comfort is one of our core values, then that's what we're going to be reaching for. So please join us back with Pamela Larocque as we discuss balance and really feeling comfortable in our lives so that we can shine and really come from that place of love. So join us shortly.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Hi, this is David Strickle. I'm excited to share my brand new show, The Stream of David Live, right here on OMTimes Radio. Each week I'll have exciting guests and I'll channel the eternal wisdom of the stream, a group of non-physical entities whose teachings have transformed lives all over the world. So join us for an uplifting hour each Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern. That's The Stream of David Live right here on OMTimes Radio.
Are you considering starting your own podcast? Do you have a book or other content you'd like to share with a worldwide audience? Give your book a voice. Hello, I'm Lisa Berry, host of Light on Living here on OMTimes Radio. Myself and Tomas Garza, host of Decide to Transform, help people like you produce your very own radio show. At Podcast Prosperity, we help you create your show and recirculate your content for multimedia impact. Through creation and launch, we give you the support and mentorship you need and help you create the influence, income, and impact that you desire. Contact us at lightonliving.com, Podcast Prosperity.
A social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Oh, welcome back, everyone. We are having this really fun conversation, helpful. I want to use the word helpful today. Not fun. It is fun, but helpful conversation about balance. Because we all have our own version of it. We all are in balance in different times and stages, and we get there a different way. And what I love what Pamela Larocque has shared, and she's our guest today, has shared, and I love this, is that it's what is the payout of balance? Why should we make this important? Why should we be intentional about balance? And she shared that, and I love this, like an enlightened thing here, is when we have balance, we can access our resources within. And so, Pamela, just before we go into this, I wanted to share what I kind of felt like, okay, well, what does being out of balance look like? And when those things are happening, that means I can't access my resources. So, and I could feel this because when I was going through, and I came up with like, when I'm out of balance, or what I think out of balance looks like, it's heartache, confusion, disappointment, feeling lost, or even going into a victimhood, or not thinking that we have control or the right to say, to be intentional and be in that power seat. And I find that when we're in all of those places, we don't have access to our resources within, and that's not very comfortable. So I want to throw that out there, Pamela, and have you speak to that, and how can we use recognizing when we're not comfortable to recognize all those things I kind of mentioned. If you have a few more, you can toss in there as well. What does being out of balance feel like to you?
Well, no, those are perfect, and I agree. Like, I know for me, I'm moody, I'm irritable, I can feel resentful, and then I start to question, like, why I question life again. I call it playing with the ego in my writing. Am I playing with the ego? What are these emotions? What's going on? And then I go into my mind and think, okay, take a moment to listen to your heart. I'm going to dance with my higher self. What do I need to do? Well, have I been eating okay today? Maybe I was snacking on stuff that wasn't healthy because that's like a past behavior I used to do, right? Yeah. Do I need to go for a walk? Like for me, have I maybe not been out in nature? So that will put me back into balance. And being a woman, what time of the month is it? Being an empath, right? Is that what is also happening? Is it a full moon? We're very sensitive people in my family, and a full moon really affects our energies. So, and I liked what you shared about at the end of just before the commercial break about, what really matters, like the bare bones of what matters. What is your core beliefs? What do I want for myself and my family? And then I simplify. When life feels really complicated and out of balance, and all these emotions that aren't the ones you want to, they're not the joyful emotions you want to experience, going within and maybe writing and wondering, like, what's going on truly.
Okay, I'm in love with that word right now, complicated. When you said that, I was like, oh, yes. And when I think of complicated, I feel like it means that you bought a puzzle and you opened it up and it said there's 100 pieces, but you've got 120. And you're like, wait, I've got too many pieces here. It's so complicated. Why is there so much here?
Well, I know. It's true, and it's that whole one step at a time.
Yeah.
One moment at a time, one day at a time, right? That's the whole being present. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, most of the time for me, when I'm having all those things happen, this complicated life, I'm not being in the present moment. Because if you're, for the most part, unless something traumatic is happening, the present moment could really be whatever you choose to make it at that moment, right? Something simple as grounding into, the earth and drinking a glass of water and saying thank you for the water to Mother Earth or the heavens or God or whoever, the universe, however you feel or whatever resonates with you, with your faith, your belief system. But, again, it's that present moment. What can I be grateful for? There's so much to be grateful for, but when you are living in a space of my life's complicated, it's hard to have that balance. And I also am very mindful of the word discernment. Like, if something does not resonate, I do not allow it into my boundaries physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. It's just, no, this is my boundary.
I like that you said that, yes. That's actually one thing you are right. You're like, is this, you're checking in with yourself and seeing if it does check with your highest self. One thing you just said there about, it made me think of, you didn't say this, but it brought light to me, is when we have that confusion going on. It's complicated. It's almost like I feel like there's an expectation that it should be another way. And if we are holding on to an expectation, like this shouldn't be this way, somebody else needs to do something, I didn't deserve this, right?
Yeah,
That you're out of balance completely because, and you made me think of when you're in the present moment, there can be, I believe, it's a lot more fair exchange of energy. If we're stuck, you said water, so now I'm thinking about getting the glass of water, and I drive to go to the spring to get my water that I'm drinking, and I really wanted to. The other day we were out of water, and I was like, gosh, I better just go. And if I'm going to go, I'm going to get like 120 liters and stuff. And so I actually really enjoyed my energy exchange with being present to go and getting it and then pouring it, filling it up and loading it in. It felt more present to me, and I love that you said that. So balance, to me, sometimes you're right. It's being more present because I believe there can be a more fair receive and give. It's like, wouldn't that be a balance? There needs to be a balance. How do you balance giving and receiving? How do you know when you're too giving or too receiving?
Well, again, I start to get overwhelmed. If I'm feeling overwhelmed, then I have to see, okay, what's going on? Or maybe I'm doing too much for my kids. Are there things that they could be doing for themselves or being more helpful? And then we have a family meeting, we discuss things, I go over, expectations, we're a team, those kinds of things. When I'm really feeling wonderful and in balance, or, I love to gift somebody a healing session or reach out to somebody and talk to them about the energy work, and even if it's just a few minutes, that's really rewarding for me. I enjoy that.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't know if I answered your question, Lisa, but it's really checking in with what's going on within. And for some people, this conversation might not be resonate, and for others, this might just like ring bells off in their head, right?
Yes.
Of just, okay, where am I at? What do I need to do? What resonates with me? What can I do to make my life simpler so that I can have balance? Because I think that's a key too. Keeping things very simple is probably my number one thing.
I love that tip because we just went from complicated to simple. It's absolutely perfect. It's really so. Listeners, I want you to tune into your own life just right now for a second. Is there an area that feels complicated to you? So we're removing, the pressure off the word balance, like as opposed to saying, oh, is your life in balance and do you feel balanced? Well, how about that? Not more than overwhelmed. Is it complicated? And do you feel like when you're looking at your life, if there's an area that you would like more simplicity, just make this simple. I just want this simple so that you can be present. And I love that, Pamela, because as we simplify things, and I need to know, I just have a funny short story to share, Pamela. This is funny that I would actually honor myself this much. I realized that I needed to honor. I'm a doer too, and I'll get in momentum of doing, and it just feels more natural to keep doing because I'm in momentum. But I was wearing myself a little thin. My cup was getting a little empty, and my guy had asked me to get something, and I just stopped. And I remember this. It was a funny thing. I looked at him. I go, do you need me to get this for you, or do you want me to get this for you? Because I don't want to go get it. And it was such a bold thing. And I went, oh my gosh, I think I need to start asking myself these things. Do I need something like that I'm doing in my life, or do I want it? And it's good to have both, but I think being intentional, having awareness about what is it I need, and then what about following this pathway, Pam, is when we do find out as a need or a want, what kind of questions can we ask ourselves to find out if it really is in balance for us? Like what questions could we dive in as a mental coach?
I guess I always go with, like, what are your core values? What's important to you? For me, when I'm out of whack, it's like, okay, well, I want some really happy memories with our kids. What really brings me joy, and then I'll write down some things for joy, and then I ask the kids what things, and Brett, what could we do? Because we're all a family, we're all living together, and then sometimes it's also a case of we all need some space from one another. We're all just going to, be apart for a bit and do our own thing, whatever that looks like, and that's okay too, because sometimes we are in charge of our own happiness, And as parents, I know I take on sometimes I have to make my kids happy. I want them joyful. I want them to, have permagrins. Well, that's not the case every moment, right?
Right. Right. I love that you said memories. How many of us go, you know what, if we are, oh gosh, this is such a good one. Right now, everybody, tune in to say, what is the memory that you're holding right now? Like a memory, a fun memory, a joy, of comfort, of love that you have recently created. Like, is there an experience? Because we have to have experiences, right, to have memories. So have you in the last 30 days, and Pamela, this would be great. Maybe we should all do a check-in. Look in the last 30 days. Have you had an experience that has become a fond memory? And in order to do that, right, Pam, we have to be present during that experience. And we have to have the experience. And share with what's one of the memories that you've created in the last 30 days. I'll put you on the spot. 30 days that you could think back now and it brings you joy.
Well, we went bike riding on the weekend with our daughter, and our son was with his friends scootering, which was his passion. And, he's going to be 17 soon, and so he has to, step away from us and kind of create his own independence, which is a healthy thing. So we took our daughter out for a bike ride, and it was so much fun. That was my favorite thing to do as a child, and it's still one of my favorite things, and Brett loves biking. But the best part was hearing Kieran say, "Oh, I love biking. It's my most favorite thing to do. Thank you, Mom." So that was just, that's the icing on the cake, right? When you get to do something you love and then your child says they love it too, it's like, wow, it's a win-win, right?
Yes, a bond. And that might be a core value for people just like yourself. It's because what are memories and what are, good experiences if we don't get to make a bond with ourselves or with others? So it just strengthens it. And that's, and the ironic thing right now is the parks have opened up here. So we were able to stop, and she got to go on the swing, and her dad pushed her high, which is one of her favorite. Like, he's pushed her since she was little and very high, and she laughs and giggles, and just standing there in the sunshine with seeing other families with their children and toddlers and babies, and just watching Kieran laugh and giggle and have fun again. And after going for months of driving by the park, all taped up with all these signs, right, saying no, so that, it's that, again, hanging on to the hope these last few months, too, that life will come back to somewhat of a new normal, maybe, or even just being normal. That was a really great normal afternoon for us. Yes. But actually, that's an interesting thing. Normal and balance. Those two really kind of go hand in hand. It's like when you feel like exhilaration is great too, but I feel like we have to do, so if we're experiencing maybe, I don't have a good word for it, but the blahs, like can't do this, can't do that, no experience are happening. That's far on, let's say, the left side. And then exhilaration and bonding and all that is on the far right. And so we have to experience those two ends of that stick to enjoy the balance, to kind of bring it back into the balance where it's, I love that you shared that because I could visualize that. And then you're left with a normal after that, which that feels good. It feels balanced. It feels effortless.
Well, and from what you're saying, Lisa, I can feel like it feels to me like when you are, let's say, in the middle of those two scenarios you just talked about, and you're balanced, you are more apt or willing to try new things and maybe come out of your comfort zone, come out of the, what you normally would do. And then that creates another new pathway of beautiful memories, right? Being balanced is just, it's so key to living an intentional life.
We'll start this conversation then when we do go to commercial, but not for a little bit. We'll continue. But I really want to bring into, we're here on this earth. I love our spirit beings. I love them float around and playing in that conscious world and the dimension. But we do have bodies, and it's really important for our bodies to have balance, right down to our skin having the pH balance. We have a lot of balancing going on, and our bodies do this on their own. They're calibrating and do that. But we do have an intentional role in our own physical healing, in our own physical functioning. And you're a fun person to share this because you have a nutrition background yourself, and I do. And that's why I love talking to you about this. And we've talked about, I'm going to call it cellular balance, for this word. How How much do our emotions and our state of being, if they're out of balance and imbalance, play on our cells? Are they that powerful that they can do that?
Well, speaking from my body and the way I am, they for sure do. Yeah. Like I'm in a very emotional person, and I've been kind of on a spiritual path the last few years, and I feel like I'm very balanced spiritually. But what's interesting is right now, the last few years, going through a bit of menopause starting, or perimenopause, whatever the terms are, I have been very unbalanced. And I can feel it physically, on every level physically, my energies, my emotions, my irritability, my that kind of wanting and being motivated, because I just don't feel great physically.
Yes, and you know what? On that note, I'll just invite everybody to tune back in after the commercial break here, because when I think about the word balance, I think maybe like we were talking hormonal balance and also stability, so mental stability. And so when we come back, I would love Pamela. With Pamela Larocque here, we're going to dive into balance and stability of the body. All right, when we're back from Light on Living.
The best of holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization. Their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
As I'm sure you know, it is time to celebrate self-discovery and personal growth. But you know, your efforts have to be consistent in order to stay balanced and to overcome depression and fears. So, what new books are available? How do you stay centered? Elizabeth Joyce and her guests will help you find out. That's Elizabeth Joyce on Let's Find Out, Mondays at 6 p.m. on OMTimes Radio.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Oh, welcome back. Hi there, Pamela. Did you just not love those commercials?
Yes, they're awesome. Love the cat one too.
I know. You know, I think the cat one, if we had to vote on OMTimes Radio's commercial, I think over the whole everything, I think the cat commercial would win. But the commercial just before that brought, oh my gosh, of course they were talking about balance, and I was like, oh, this is so perfect. But they brought a word, and I have to bring this up, centered. All right, okay. Before we talk cell talk, body talk, this is so cool. Because a lot of people, like balanced Libras, balanced scale, you're thinking equally balanced, right? 50-50s, like level. And everybody's center, though, is different. Like I know for me, if I split my time between my cats and like my work, that would not feel balanced to me. I need 75 cats, 25 workers. You know what I mean? Like everybody's balance is different because their center fulcrum shifts. It's how they are centered. And in saying that, our bodies, our cells respond to when we are centered, when we are balanced. And right now you mentioned very transparently, thank you, Pamela, for sharing that you are entering perimenopause and your hormone, your center points are shifting. Things are shifting. How are you finding and creating and being intentional about your balance as your body is doing its new experience?
Well, that's a great question. I found an amazing chiropractor here who helps me be in alignment on with the back and everything. She's been wonderful. Exercise, yoga, sleep, certain supplements I take for myself that have really helped. Eating the best of my ability, connecting with people to, build that relationship. We all need relationships in our life and need to feel fulfilled that way.
Yeah. So you know what, I love that you said that's a chemistry thing. That's a chemical, what you're saying, when we're in alignment, like when we get an adjustment, whether it's be the chiropractor or we're doing our own stretches and doing that releases chemicals, right? It's very important that our cells are releasing the, chemicals and talking this way so that we can experience that balancing going in on our cells at a cellular level.
Yeah, I never thought of that, but that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Well, I love talking about that oxytocin, and that's I like calling that the connection hormone, like they call it the hug hormone and stuff, because serotonin, of course, is that happy hormone, dopamine, all very rewarding kind of chemical. And I love that we can check in with almost those kind of situations. Do I feel like sometimes we all might look for food for a reward or to pick me up, or like I look for cups of tea. That's my thing. Where's a cup of tea and a cat? It's my reward and my connection. But when the cells aren't in balance, do you think that's the starting of disease? Is that where disease would come from? Is that when they're out of balance?
Yes, I would say that would be a big part of it for sure. And, balancing, getting your cells working optimally is, really important. Balancing your emotions around whatever's going on in your life is really important. There's so many pieces to the puzzle. But, yeah, on a physical level, cells working properly is very important.
Mm-hmm. I really want people to check in with that, because if you're looking and you're like, you know what, maybe your thoughts are really sharp and you feel like you're good there, and maybe your heart is just but your body can also give you signs of where you're lacking balance. And if you are, just look at your body, do a little scan. You be your own little x-ray machine kind of sort of thing, right? Start at your toe and work up, or start from your head and work down, and have a conversation. Like, do you talk to your body? Do you ask to check into certain parts of your body?
Oh, I do. My body tells me exactly what's going on. It's it's an open book. There's never a secret. It's like, okay, this is how I'm feeling today, or this is how I'm feeling. I know my body very well, which is really good. I think, and then you can kind of go from there, right? You can make adjustments or seek out help from others, or ask the universe, can you help me, send me something or someone to help fix this issue? And it always shows up. Somebody or something always shows up.
That sounds like a very trust-filled statement. I feel like you have a lot of trust in that. That's awesome. Share a little bit more about that trust that you have. That you just made a bold statement. Something or someone will always show up. Where do you get that trust from?
Well, probably years of not trusting and questioning why after Riken's death, trying to understand why we're here. And then coming to a place of self-love and understanding, I want to live my best life. I have kind of gone through my grief. Now I am very intentional about wanting to live, but I'm also going to be 46 this year. So I want to live and be as healthy as I can for the remainder years I'm on Earth. So these are my issues. What can I do to rectify them? How can I heal my body? I put it out there, and I listen, and I wait, and I keep asking, and I keep watching, and I keep listening, and I'm always guided.
I like that. I'm always guided. That is, I feel like there's some affirmations that could be in there. And when you're saying, I feel that there was a lot of power, actually. That's what I sensed. I sensed that power when you said, I decided that I wanted to live my healthiest self. And oh gosh, that feels good. I like saying that. And everybody right now, if you're listening, does that feel good to you? Like, would you like to make that decision? Would you like to make that statement and that commitment? Say, I am deciding that I want to live out the rest of my years here in this body anyways, to live my healthiest, highest self. And I love that you said that, when we make that decision, then we can say, all right, I'd like some help. I like some help, please. And whether it's support from your body, and your cells, and if your body and your cells are not in balance and you need help, first of all, I invite you to reach out to Pamela Larocque, because you have this way of communicating with your guides to help others. Did I say that properly?
Well, intuitively, I know how to, help people. When we share and we have a conversation, I just have a lot of professional and personal experience that I can share and help guide. And again, it's always discernment. It might not resonate, it might resonate. And then I do work with the archangels and the seraphadalian. So that's the energetic side of the work I do to help, heal. And not everybody wants to heal in this way, but for me, this is just how I live my life. Like it has to be kind of a holistic approach, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, and then like on kind of intentional, like where do I want to go? Well, I want to, personally for me, when my kids are in their 20s and they're sorting out their own world, I want to be traveling with my husband. I want to be in a state of happiness and feeling goodness inside and feeling strong within, that I can kind of go conquer other things on the bucket list, per se.
I like that you start with a passionate vision, and I think that's a big thing I want to really invite people to connect with you for, because whether you're listening and you're not sure, like, I don't know what my vision is, or you don't believe in your vision, you're lacking some trust and hoping that you could have this better life. I know Pamela's big on hope and trust, and I know that, Pamela, you have a few, whether they're modalities and techniques of the spiritual, or your intuition, or your own knowledge and experience and skills with different, I want to say products, but the way you eat, what you consume, what you put in your body. And I know that you share that with your clients, with your friends, and anybody who reaches out to you. Just you're leading, you're an example of how you really have strong communication, healthy communication within your body and outside of your body, so that you can be in balance with your highest self.
Yeah, and the social worker in me, I've referred my clients to other people that have helped me. There's always this feeling for me of who has helped me. They will, like, I feel guided then to share with them, because I'm not the only person that can help this person that is coming to me, per se, right? That's the social worker in me. I've referred people to have crossover sessions. I have some really good friends who are mediums. I have people that do other kind of energy techniques that I know these people would benefit from. And so it's just this sharing and helping everybody just to come to a place of how are you living your best life. And what I see is sometimes people just don't even know what to do or how to do it, or really aren't in touch with what's going on in their body. But they see themselves like they want to be a certain way, but they just need some help, some guidance.
Clarity. Yeah.
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of
beautiful.
Clarity. That's such a neat thing. I think I'm so grateful to have friends like yourself. I at one point did not have strong connections with people. I was actually very, very alone, and I was okay with it, I thought. But what was happening, I felt comfortable being alone, but I wasn't expanding. And that's a really neat thing I wanted to have all you guys also do. There's a lot of checking in. I'm asking you guys to do a lot of checking in with yourselves. Balance does involve expanding. It doesn't mean you get balance and there you go, stay, don't move. It's like you get that picture, on the wall, balance, but that can stay there. You want that straight. But with yourself, your balance is ever expanding and growing. And like Pamela, I love that you said that one of your expansion that you'll want to, recalibrate and balance to is traveling later, and you're preparing. And I think that's a big thing is, if you're not quite sure and you don't have the clarity, ask yourself first. And if you need to access the clarity and access the answers, that the balance is going to help you. And that's why balance is important. So I want to sell balance. I want to really promote and market balance right now.
Yeah.
And Pamela, I'm so glad that you said, yes, I'll do this balancing thing, because you and I are just all about, okay, yes, Libra going in there. We're both Libras. But just to say, life is so, well, what words would you describe life when we are in balance?
I would say it's precious. I think when you're in balance, you understand the preciousness of the moment, of whatever it is, with whoever you're with, doing whatever you're doing. You actually triggered something. Like years ago when I was so grief-stricken, I didn't even want to leave the house. I only left the house if it meant making sure Caden was having a play date, or Caden had preschool, or Caden was in his soccer, or it was all about Caden. It was never about myself per se, because I didn't want to. I didn't want to engage in life. And so that was the one end of the spectrum, and now I'm on the other end. I want to be engaged in life. And now we've had this move, and I have to be very mindful of, balancing the kids and making sure my emotions and I'm centered. And I like this clarity. Interesting you use the word clarity. That is one of my words in my new book, Intentional Healing for Intentional Living. I love that you use that word. I was like, oh, Lisa, our souls are so but yeah, so I know I went off on a tangent here, but when you're in balance, I just feel like you understand life is precious. You are just living the way you want to truly live, like within, because we all have different thoughts about how we want to live our life, right? Yes. And when you're in essence and resonance with who you are, I think that is being in balance.
I love that word, resonance. I just want to go back to that. I love the name when you shared with me that name, Intentional Living for Intentional Healing. It really hit a big one for me because I realized that probably, I feel like I was definitely in control. I had to make certain decisions. I had to move a year ago. Actually, I think we moved similar times. And so that was very intentional. But there were so many areas in my life I was not being intentional with or around, and it really affected me. And so I've been actually focusing on being more in control. I have the power to choose what I want. And if I don't just let life kind of bat me around, which is, hey, sometimes you get in a boat and you get all the place, it's fun, but if you don't have some kind of a GPS or an endpoint, that intention's very there. So if somebody's listening and they're thinking, I do need some healing, I need some healing, then be intentional about it. And if you need help, reach out to Pamela Larocque. And actually, can you share with us how people can get a hold of you, whether it's the spelling of everything
my
perfectly?
Website is www.Pamela, Pamela Larocque, LAROCQUE.ca, and you can reach out to me through an email there. I'm also on Facebook. You could send me a message through the messenger on Facebook. But yeah, what you said is key. Like for me, if your whole goal is to intentionally heal whatever's going on within, and then you can, once you're on the path of healing and you're intending to heal, it's just amazing the doorways that will open for you to intentionally live the amazing life you want to live.
I love that. An amazing life that you want to live, and everybody has that right. And your amazing is going to be so different than somebody else's, and that's so awesome because it's inspiring. I love, Pamela, how you lead your life and show your intention, because I can check in with myself and go, wow, that was a great example. Do I want that? Is there something like, what do I like about that? Or what do I not like about it? It's a lot of questioning, isn't it? A lot of questions and a lot of answers to listen to.
Yeah, it is, and it's that whole discernment and going in within, sitting quietly and just asking yourself, even like if you're only here for 6 more months, what's important to you? I ask myself that a lot when I'm trying to decide what I'm going. Years ago when I was really, unbalanced, I would say the grief was more overrode the joy. It'd be like, hey, can I miss this? Do I care? Will this bother me on my deathbed? And if it didn't bother me, I didn't do it. If it would bother me, then I'd be like, okay, I'm going to do this. What do I need to do so I can do this? What can I build in to support myself, or do I need to have a counseling session, or do I need a healing session? Do I need to just have a conversation with my husband? How he can help me with it. So you just have to check in and be your own best friend.
Oh, I love that. That's a beautiful theme, because those, you know what, if once we access those treasures within us and all those resources, it literally is your own best friend just waiting there just to hear you, to align with you, to help you regain balance. And if you do, I love that you said that. If you're feeling like, I need a healing session, I need to reach out, I just need to have a conversation, I am going to invite you to either reach out definitely to Pamela Larocque or myself. You can always go, oh, I can't find Pamela. Just reach out to me, Lisa Berry, Berry, either on Facebook or here through OMTimes radio. That would be fabulous. We can connect there. But Pamela, I want to thank you so much for sharing this really needed conversation about balance with us and all the listeners. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Oh, well, thank you for inviting me, Lisa. This was just a beautiful way to start my Monday in the month of June, and I just thank you for thinking of me, and your kindness means a lot. So thank you, Lisa.
Oh, well, thank you. And everybody, include kindness in your balance. I think it would be great. Check in with your core values. Let me know what you think and how you find your ways of balance. And if you want, catch the Facebook Live that I did on OMTimes Magazine page on Facebook, and you can interact with us there as well. Everybody, I wish you a beautiful day. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you, the world. And we're sending you so much love to everybody.
Bye.
Bye.